Welcome, welcome, welcome to Lupus in Color in the Loop with Lupus Live. I am trying to get everybody in as well as put everything where it belongs. So let's see what we're doing here. We should be live on all the networks. And we'll just wait for everyone to come in the room. And as we're waiting, it is hot here in Virginia. I'm going to tell you, it is hot here. So we are coming on today to talk to you about Aila Health, which is a new collaboration. We're going to be speaking with Rory Stanton, who is the owner of the founder of Aila Health. So when she pops up, I'll bring her on up to the room. In the meantime, we just want to welcome everybody here today and make sure that you understand that we are just providing a service to educate you, inspire you, encourage, and empower you. So anything that you hear here, please make sure that you check with your doctor first if we're talking about any type of medication changes, any type of treatment options that you might have. Just make sure you check with your doctor first. Okay, so we can go on because I see that Rory is here. I'm going to bring her on up. Hi, Rory.
Hey, how's it going? So nice
I'm
to be
good.
here.
Oh, thank you for coming on. It's so important for us to hear about your organization and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, really, really appreciate it and looking forward to getting to say hi to everybody. And Lupus in Color, really exciting. We got to connect a few months back, I think, and hear about, your story of living with lupus and acting as an advocate in this space. And just really think it's wonderful what you're doing. So,
Oh, thank you. So, Rory, we are here to talk about Isla Health, and you are the founder, am I correct, of
yes.
Isla Health?
Yeah.
So, I want you to just tell me a little bit about yourself before we start getting into what Isla Health is actually.
Sure, sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Rory. Founded this company, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, just a little bit of background on me. I'm working out of my guest bedroom right now. So part of the background, I never really got a good screen background. But yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up here, lived on the East Coast for a number of years, did my undergrad and biology and health, and worked in kind of digital health world for a long time before moving back to the Bay Area and then launching this company. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. You have a lot of experience then, going around and doing things and making sure things are put in place to make things easier for chronic illness patients.
Yeah, that's really the goal. And I'll tell you a little bit about the kind of inspiration behind Aila and maybe just a little bit of background about what we are. So we're a virtual care platform for patients living with complex chronic illnesses. We're focused very specifically on autoimmune diseases, which is one of the reasons why we got connected. I actually, growing up, had a lot of friends and family members that live with different types of autoimmune conditions, from a good friend who was living with Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. One of my best friends growing up on my swim team lived with lupus, and that was just like a very rare condition back then. No one really knew what it was. I remember she was like 13 when she was diagnosed, and kind of seeing her go through that process. And yeah, just friends and family members as well. I had a few cousins that went through a long diagnosis journey. One actually never got her formal diagnosis, but there's something going on. They're still not really sure what it is. And yeah, so just kind of seeing that. And then in my work also in the healthcare field, kind of seeing, we worked with a lot of patient kind of groups like yours actually, where we would learn and understand kind of just how these diseases progress based on what people were sharing online and sharing their experiences. And I think that's one of the really powerful things about community, is just there's so much shared insight. And that's one of the kind of missions of our company, is to kind of help quantify and share some of that shared insight so that everyone can learn from it. So can we extrapolate from, all the lupus patients' experiences, what's the best path of care? Because most people are, quite frankly, are living wherever they are, all over the US, all over the world, and not necessarily able to always access that information. And maybe their primary care providers don't even have access to that information. So they don't know the best way to treat them or refer them. And so that's one of the things that we're really focused on.
Wow. So Isla Health is basically a place. What we do is I tell people a lot of times to keep journals, food journals, health journals, all types of journals. That I've got like a million journals all over the place. Yeah. So Isla Health is really a place where you can keep all of that information in one spot, correct?
Exactly. So if you think about, like, a lot of people will keep a bullet journal or something and kind of diagram the severity of their symptoms or what they ate that day. So what we tried to do, we interviewed probably close to 200 autoimmune patients across a number of different diseases to really understand what's that experience like. And we're created a way for you to keep almost a digital journal. So we have an application both on Android and iOS. And patients can track kind of any different type of symptom that they're experiencing. You can rate it on a severity scale of 1 to 10. Over time, you'll see that data plotted on a graph, and you can see, okay, what correlated with what? Did something I ate, did the weather, the humidity, was there some kind of environmental exposure that triggered an inflammatory event or symptom? And so we're really trying to create a way for people to draw their own insights from their own personal health information.
Right. In the palm of your hand.
Yeah. And then with that, one of the things we also heard from people we talked to was, hey, I want to write if I, had a difficult day, or I wasn't feeling great that day, or my energy level was really low. So we, again, tried to incorporate, your ability to be active, kind of the things you ate that day. How was your mood that day? What was your pain level that day? Were you experiencing a flare and inflammation? So that we can trend that data over time. And then, the system eventually will start learning more and more about you so that it can kind of predict those inflammatory or flare events over time.
Absolutely. It's very important information, because as I'm looking through the app, because I use the app, I'm
Yeah.
looking through it and it's the same information that I would write down day to day. And we all know that our phone has been attached to our ears and our hips a lot lately, especially since the pandemic. But it's just great information that you can put in there to help you manage your health symptoms as well as your health information.
Yeah, then that was one of the goals, right? Is to centralize everything, because being a chronic illness patient, so, it's a lot of people say it's a full-time job, I've got to keep up with my insurance, I've got to keep records of my labs. We really wanted to create a way where, one, you could visualize what's going on in your body in real time and share that with your care providers. But two, also be able to take all of your health history, if you decide to connect it, and you can actually see that data over time as well. So really kind of centralizing your whole health experience in one place. And then the final thing I'll say is, community being such an important component, we've started this, ability to kind of have a forum where patients can connect and engage with one another, similar to how, we're doing right now. And I think that that's really important as well. And we're excited to get that to take off and see how people engage with one another and share information and support.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's important to know that you do all chronic illnesses, like autoimmune, different chronic illnesses, not just.
Yeah, I mean, it can be used, right? Anyone can use the application, even
Mhm.
if you're not chronically ill and you just want to manage your own, your own health and wellness, right? If you want to monitor your own activity levels or your stress levels, or you want to monitor, maybe you're personally, I'm trying to lose a few pounds. And so maybe I'm going to, write what I'm eating just to kind of keep track and make sure that I'm, kind of managing my overall health in a meaningful way. And so it can be applied to really whoever, but we do specifically focus for these, these types of diseases, because we felt that there was, just in my own experience talking with friends and family, that there's a huge gap, and there's really a lot to be learned by, we almost think about digitizing the comments on all these social media forums. It's there's so much rich information. How can we actually show this in a way that, people are actually learning from their own information that they're
Learning from themselves, not necessarily having, just learning their own bodies, and
Exactly.
keeping up with everything that's going on.
Exactly. No, I mean, I think with autoimmune specifically, everything's so personal, and people, you could have lupus and another person could have lupus. You could have completely different symptoms one day to the next. And it's really important for clinicians to be able to understand, know that this is my own personal baseline for pain. This is my own personal baseline for fatigue. And so when it's varying really significantly from that kind of baseline level, then we really have a problem, versus being kind of judged compared to the general population. Because let's face it, people living with autoimmune diseases are just on a completely, their symptoms are completely different. And so that was something that was really important to me, was to help people communicate, the invisible component of the disease, right? There's a lot of things that can't be expressed, but if you trend it over time, your doctors will pay attention to that and be able to kind of visualize what you're saying verbally. So that was one of the things we were trying to solve for.
That's awesome. I think the app is amazing. I really do.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. We
really
appreciate
do.
any feedback too. So I'm working with my engineers and our product team. So we've actually had a bunch of people who have been using the app give us feedback like, hey, I would really like to be able to do this, or can we save this? So if people send our team a note, we definitely actively listening and taking that and making product changes in real time, because we just want to bring out, the best thing that we can for people living with these kinds of conditions.
That's awesome. Now, there is another component to the app, the coaching component. Would you like to
Yeah.
touch on that?
Yeah, so we recently launched a coaching element of the app where you can work with an integrative wellness coach who kind of helps across a number of different things. Um, where we focus on things like obviously like anti-inflammatory diet, nutrition, things that maybe people have kind of read about in this community. Certain foods might trigger someone to have some kind of inflammatory response, and so understanding and identifying what your own personal triggers are so you can avoid those foods is really important. Shannon's our integrative wellness coach. She's amazing. She's a mind body specialist, is focused on really leveraging kind of mindfulness to reduce the impacts of inflammation, and
Right.
also just cultivating this better like awareness of yourself and how to manage your thoughts and feelings,
Right.
and how big of a role that does play in your health. And we've talked to a number of different chronic illness warriors about like mindset training and some of that stuff, and I just think that cannot be underexpressed how important that is. And so
Absolutely.
she's really great about kind of working with people one-on-one, setting health goals, really understanding what your objectives are, and then helping you kind of work toward those by kind of continuously tracking what you're doing and seeing those changes over time. So
Right.
whatever that health goal might be. And then we also have different lessons based on, if it's a particular disease or just general
Right.
health and wellness around how to reduce inflammation through kind of movement,
Mm.
nutrition, mindfulness, stress management. We also see a high kind of what's the word? Comorbidity, or
Mhm.
basically, people living with a lot of depression and anxiety. I think actually a lot of people are living with depression and anxiety right
Right.
now, just given the world we've been in the last year. But especially people living with complex chronic illness where things have been taken away, and just adapting to that. And so really being able to check in and monitor your own feelings and mental health, I think, is also a core component of taking care of yourself when you're living with an autoimmune issue.
Absolutely. That brings it to the whole individual. It's you're serving the whole person from
Exactly.
physical all the way through mental, through spiritual and everything. And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that was like definitely one of the things that we heard from people is that,
Mhm.
if they've sought out kind of more holistic, right? And some of that isn't in your traditional kind of primary care or even specialty care. You just don't get access to that. And so we're trying to be that kind of support resource to be able to provide some of those things and really guide you on that journey.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing it. You guys are absolutely doing it, and I
Yeah, I
really want
appreciate
you to
that.
come on and just explain it a little bit so that people know when I tell them to go on and download this app, it's a real
Yeah.
that works and it's
Yeah.
something that's definitely needed.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And just so for folks that do want to check it out, the kind of self-tracking and adding your own health information and participating in our community is 100% free always. The coaching and clinical care, that's of course, a different kind of service, but we wanted to make it as inclusive as possible. And I think, elevating voices, having people be able to kind of connect some of the stuff they're experiencing in their own health journey, and then connecting with the community was really important. So that will always be like, don't
Number
think that
one.
you have to subscribe just to get access to that. That will always be a core offering, and something that we want to offer to the community. And we definitely want to reach out, obviously, to the lupus community, because we think it's so important to get more resources in this space. And we're talking with researchers, and how do we just really aggregate the insights of people that are experts, which are the patients, and pull that into, go figure, the
Right.
research community, and how do we get more kind of elevated voices around that. And I think we can do that through data and basically pulling together and helping people kind of connect their own insights. So we actually built this really cool thing where on our website, and I can send out the link if you want to
Okay.
share it with your
Yes,
members
please.
after, but it's our community insights. And basically, you can kind of talk about your experiences with different treatments, or different symptoms that you've had. And then over time, once we hit a significant amount of people that have taken that, we're going to share those insights back with the community in an aggregated, anonymized way. So no one's information will be shared. It's in secure, HIPAA compliant databases. But, wouldn't it be interesting to know how many people responded to a particular treatment in a positive way, or what were the side effects for another one? And so people can really start learning from each other in a more organized way.
Absolutely. And they can bring that back to their doctors, and they can
Exactly.
discuss those, and they can discuss it in other groups that might not have the access that they have. So it's a great
Exactly.
way to transfer information and have that information. I think it's important that you did say it's definitely HIPAA compliant.
Yeah.
So people, you don't have to get crazy about that. You know, you're
Yeah.
not going to sell your
Everything we do is like 100% privacy focused and
Absolutely.
secure. So
Absolutely. That is
yep.
awesome. That is awesome. I am so happy that you were able to take some time. I want to be
Yeah,
respectful of your
definitely.
time. In your eyes, when you first created this app and you had this vision, what was the most important part of it for you?
So obviously helping patients, and I'll tell you like my founding story was really about just this the diagnosis journey, like the idea that it could take 5. I mean, I've had so many conversations with so many, mostly women, to be honest, because it predominantly impacts women, it seems. But so many patients talking about, they spent 5, 10 years to get a diagnosis. I thought, this is crazy. Like, there's got to be a better way. So we have limitations and tests available, right? A lot of these diseases are diseases of consensus. You go see specialist to specialist, specialist. I go to my GI, my neurologist, my rheumatologist, endocrinologist, everyone around. And there's just fragmentation and like, so I really wanted to get to the bottom of how can you actually help people identify what they have more quickly. And I think that's sort of some of this kind of community insights that I'm talking about. And there's some really interesting research going on in the space around how do you leverage kind of these early digital signals, right, that you could get to understand if people, may have a diagnosis for this. And I think that that's just kind of like early days of this kind of stuff coming out, but we're going to see more and more of that. I think there's going to be new ways to, like, I mean, just in an analog, like there's new ways to detect depression now just through voice recording, and so you're going to start to see new ways where we cut down that time of diagnosis because we just have more information and insight across the community.
Yeah, information is the key. Information is the key. It's the key to any type of research for a cure. It's the key to any type of help for treatment. So that's a definite important piece of it.
Definitely. And having it structured in an organized way, I think, the challenge is everyone's all over the country. They're seeing, they're sharing some data with their primary, they're sharing some data with their endocrinologist, they're sharing some information with their rheumatologist. How do you combine that all into one place where you can actually have a meaningful, view of what's going on with that particular patient and then that particular group of people to really understand it? So awesome. I think, we're really interested in like partnering both with patients and, helping advance the causes both in the research community. So we've been actively reaching out to a number of different patient advocacy organizations in the space, some research organizations in the space, and thinking about ways we can collaborate. So if anyone has ideas and or would just like to, download the application, give us some feedback, we'd love to hear it. We're also, offering for folks that are joining early days, a beta program because we're really trying to, build out this lupus community inside the platform. And so if you are interested in that, I guess you could send I'm going to send out an email. Yeah, maybe I'll send you the link and then we can send some details around the beta program. And we're offering kind of an early inside view into what the coaching program looks like at a severely awesome set. Yeah, right. Awesome. It sounds awesome to me. I enjoy the app. I go into it every day. I might not put something in every day, but I do go into it every day because I have to get into a habit. And I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, to get into the habit of, just checking in on yourself. It does give you a moment of mindfulness as well, to check in on yourself and to really be just conscious of everything that you're doing that can cause you a flare or that can cause you to feel better. So it's really very helpful. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And like I said, we're always open for new ideas, collaborating with patients. We definitely wanted to make it kind of with the patient context in mind, right, is like we didn't want to design something that had no input from people living with the condition. So that's why we did so many interviews, and we're constantly getting feedback about different features. For instance, someone was like, I want to be able to record what I did a few days ago because I was in a flare and I didn't feel like checking in. So we've tried to adapt the app so that that's possible now. And so there's just like a lot of different things that we hear about the experience. And, you know, we're trying to make living with chronic illness just a bit easier. But ultimately, like, you know, we feel that over the long term, patients are going to get a lot out of it because they have this community and access to a resource that's, you know, going to help explain their own personal presentation of the disease to their doctors, right? So it's different for everybody. And if you have, doctors can't deny data. And so if you have the data, you can be like, look what's going on. This has been me for the last 3 months since I last checked in with my room. And, you know, this is my joint pain over time. What do we do? How do we actually, you know, treat that? So I think it'll just have more elevated conversations because in real time, the doctors won't have to necessarily recall what they saw you 4 months ago. You know, they'll actually see, okay, this is how it's progressed. Awesome.
Exactly. So helpful. I'm so happy that you were able to come and join us today.
Yes, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
And tell us where we can get in contact with you, and then I'll put it in the chat room later. Your website, how they can get the app and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. So our website is ailahealth.com. You can find more information there. You can go on iOS App Store and Android Play Store to download the apps. Are fully available. And then Raquel, I'll send you a follow-up for like how people can get into the beta program for the lupus group that we're trying to build in the community. And we'll be hosting Warrior Wednesdays going forward within the app, which is similar to this, where it's like video conversations between different patients, and they can share their stories. They can talk about different topics week to week. And so we're really excited to be able to start launching that in the next week.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. Yeah. I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
really
you
appreciate
so
the
much.
time, everybody.
And we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. How awesome, how awesome, how awesome. If you did not hear, we were talking with Aila Health founder, Rory Stanton, and she was giving us a way. She has an app that we are collaborating with her with that helps us keep our symptoms and our healthcare information all in one place. You know, I always talk about using a journal, your food journal, to make sure that you're writing down what you've been eating and how it affects your health. And I always talk about having a mind and body journal of how you're feeling. I've got like 20 different journals, physical journals that I use. Now, this is not to say that you can't use those journals as well, but this is a great opportunity for you to get control of your symptoms as well as managing what your healthcare information is to show your doctor when you go to the doctor for your appointment. So I will be placing everything in the comments, and I will also make an image to show you all so that you can understand exactly what the app is about. And if you can, please go on and download the app. It's for Android, it's for iOS, it's for all different areas of the phone world. But it's so important for us to get control of our health and our health management. And this is a sure way to do that. So thank you all for tuning in the middle of the day. I will be back in about an hour or so with your midweek refuel. But in the meantime, go on over to ailahealth.com. That is Aila Health, AILAHEALTH.com, and download the app. And when you download the app, ping me, tell me, let me know, send me a message, because as many people as can download the app, we're going to have a nice big drawing for someone to win a prize. But I really want you to download the app, not to win the prize, but I want you to download that app in order to get control over keeping your information as well as your symptoms and keeping control of how you deal and work beating lupus one day at a time. So thank you guys once again. It is almost 3 o'clock, and I will be back a little bit later with your midweek refuel. Thank you all for tuning in. Bye bye.